Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. I am back with a new time trial guide at Bathurst for the 2 million credits that you can earn in game. I hope you're all having a lovely day there, and let's see if we can help you get these 2 million credits as easily and as quickly as possible. Remember, if you do enjoy these videos, it is a huge help to me if you take a few seconds to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section if it helps you out as well. It's always great reading them comments about how it's helped you gain time and got you the gold for the 2 million or the 1 million. It's brilliant to read. So this week we are in the new Maserati at Bathurst, and it is quite a tricky combination. So it's not as easy as some of the previous weeks we've had. This one is a little bit harder because the car is quite tricky to do. So to enter this time trial, you go into sport mode in the top right hand corner and you'll be greeted with the online time trial section. Click on that and you have free time trials. I have guides for every one of these on the channel, so click on the 2 million credit playlist and they'll all be in there and you can enter them. Now we're going into the middle one in the Maserati, and you can see when I did this I was P5 in the world and the top time was currently at 12.8. I think it's already gone down to a 12.4 or 3 or something like that. So I'm guessing that you're going to need to get a 2 minute 15.5 around there for gold, 2 minute 18.6 ish probably, maybe a 5 around there, something like that for silver, and yeah, take another 7-8 tenths off the bronze time for the bronze time. So you're probably gonna have to push this quite aggressively. It's not the easiest car to drive. You can load up my Ghost from within the time trial and chase my time because it is in the top 10 when I did my lap. So you can load up that Ghost and see if you can compete against my Ghost and try and follow it through the lap. Now I didn't take too long on this. You can see my previous best lap was a 13.7 and I instantly went quite a bit quicker and just left it at that. So let's go into this guide and try and help you out. So into turn 1, you have to brake incredibly early with this car. So you can see we're going to use this lamppost on the right hand side just after the 150 board. That is a perfect reference for your braking. Brake just around that point there, and we're going to brake in a straight line. Try and get your braking done in a straight line. Now I'm going to go down to 2nd gear just for an extra bit of engine braking, then back up to 3rd gear before we come out the exit of the corner. Now you're going to take the normal line through here up to 3rd gear and then just be very gradual with your throttle. You see how I'm not going 100% throttle. It's gradual up to that 100% point, because if you just floor it, you're probably going to spin this card. So now we're going up the straight. Now one thing with this car is don't rev it all the way to the end of the rev bar. Just shift just short of the end because it has a weird kind of like limiter on it and it really does lose you a lot of time. Next braking point, we are braking halfway in between the 200 and the 150 that you can see in front of me there. And again, braking in a straight line down to 3rd gear, and we're going to try and rotate this car in. Now you're going to trail brake into this corner from this point and really try and let that weight come off onto the front tyres and help with rotation through this corner. Now onto the throttle, but you can see I'm not going 100%. Again, I'm being very gradual, about 80 to 90% throttle all the way through that corner, and then accelerating up into 4th gear. And then we're going to use this lamppost here as a reference for our braking. Now I actually braked a fraction past it, which was a mistake. Should have braked dead on it and used my own reference, but I braked a little bit late trying to push the limits. And you can see trail braking into the corner, just doing like 40-50% because you don't want to brake too heavily, it'll just understeer. And at this point here, you can see I would rather be on that purple line heading into the corner and accelerating up the hill, but I'm going a little bit deep here. Upshift to 3rd gear. I do square the car off though and manage to get some power down, which kind of rescues it a bit, but maybe a tenth or two lost there just on the line that I took through the corner. But again, look at the throttle inputs, very gradual, not going 100% throttle, actually losing the rear briefly and grazing the wall. Now one thing you've got to be super careful is you do not hit them walls too hard, because it's a very easy penalty on this track, especially further up this hill. Now through this corner, you don't brake, it's just a lift off the throttle, you can see there. And again, this is a corner, this right, as you go through this left hand corner here now, if you hit the wall on this right hand side, it's an instant penalty, so just avoid that. Now as we come through, you can see I'm going to lift off the accelerator, not brake again. We're just going to lift off the accelerator, let that rotation happen, and then a dab of the brakes as we go through the corner. You can see that little dab of the brakes, nothing too exaggerated, just a bit of rotation needed. And again into this corner just before the curb on the right hand side, a tiny dab of the brakes, and then we're going to lift off that throttle at the same point. Now you can see again, we're going to put a little bit of trail braking in, just around 30-40% braking, just to try and get that rotation in, and then just slowly feed that throttle in through this corner. Just be careful. You want to get that left-hand tyre as close to the wall on the left as possible, and just be careful you don't run wide onto the grass there. Now, downhill section, again, be careful you don't hit any of these walls. penalties are easy to get. We're on the brakes really early here. You can see very early to make sure that we're slowing this car down. And then again, I use my little trick of putting the brake and accelerator on together to stabilize the car. Just keeps the car a little bit more stable on this downhill section, especially in a car like this. And you can see there 50-60% braking all the way up to 100, then back down again, and then a little shift to second, then back up to third gear as we go through this section. Now this is all about attacking the line through the corner. I've highlighted the ghost in front of me because you can see pretty much over the middle of the white line. That's the optimal line. And then get on that accelerator as early as you can on this downhill section, and be very careful you do not graze the wall on the left there, because that is an instant penalty. Again, on this downhill section, braking super. As soon as we've come out that left hand corner, onto the brakes nice and early. Get on them brakes early with this car. The brakes are not great. So trail braking on this downhill section again. Look at the braking input, both on at the same time briefly, just to try and stabilize this car on this downhill section, and then down to second gear. But we are going to go back into third gear as I trail brake through the corner. So you can see the trail braking going on, and then before we get on the throttle, third gear, and then the throttle's going to go in there before we come out the exit. And just be careful or you don't hit that wall on the outside again, because it'll be an instant penalty. The penalties are quite harsh here, which is good. I like it. Now we're going to go down this hill, accelerating into one of the earliest points I've ever braked on this track. And you probably can brake a little bit later, but I'm doing this for safety, just to try and get it slowed down. So you can see as we come through here, I use these two lampposts, like the telephone wire, whatever they are, there as a reference for our braking. And we're going to go down through the gears, and you can see just brake early, because this car does not like slowing down from high speed, because you are going quite a high speed, to be honest, into this braking zone. And then you want to get this car rotated into this apex, down to second, back up to third though, as we put the throttle down. And then just be careful on the throttle on this right hand corner, because it's very easy to snap the rear. You can see P1 there putting a bit too much power down on the exit, and the rear starting to twitch a little bit, but he does gain quite a bit from being that aggressive. Then we're going to use this 150, but brake slightly past this 150 as our reference into the final corner. So just past that 150 onto the brakes, and again braking in a straight line, all the way in a straight line down to third gear. Then we're going to go down to second gear, and again we're going to go back up to third gear before we put that power down. So you again try and get this line so you're squaring the car off, trail brake into the corner, up to third gear, throttle on the apex, and then just be careful again with the throttle inputs all the way as you squeeze that throttle out of the exit and over the line. And I go over the line for a 2 minutes 13.194, which, considering you saw the lap before was a set 13.7, considering we didn't spend too long on this time trial, it was a reasonable lap. So I'm pretty happy with that for the amount of laps I did. Didn't really try hard this too much. There's definitely a 12.6 I think in it for me, maybe a 12.7. I don't know how much further I could push it over that, but hopefully this guide will be enough to help you lot out. So we'll watch the lap from chase camera again, just so you can see how you've got to brake super early, and also just with these walls, just be very careful with them. It's so important. Again, even in this corner here, you've got to be careful on the throttle, be careful you don't get onto that curb. And this is one of the trickiest braking zones, because the car does want to just understeer, so make sure you're nice and early. You can see I had to go to second gear there, but I do manage to rotate it. You can see because we rotated it in and got on that third gear quite smoothly, we managed to make it work. And I got very lucky here as the rear snapped, but I just grazed the wall, but we didn't get a penalty, which is very lucky, I have to say, because if it would have been this wall up here, it would have been an instant penalty if you hit that wall on the right hand side. Again, just keeping the car up to the curbs, using this curb as a reference, chucking it in and just trying to carry some momentum through this corner. Now it's actually a really fun car to drive, I have to say. Quite enjoyable this week with this road car around this track. It's different and it's actually quite nice to drive, but you do have to brake incredibly early, and I mean like super early. I've never had to brake as early as I do for some of these corners in this car. So down to this tricky left hand corner, make sure you get on that third gear before you come out the exit and just feed that power in nice and slow. And again, this is the corner where you've just got to brake so early. You can brake later than what I do here, because I use obviously them two pole, like the telephone wires as a reference. However, you can brake a little bit past them, but I'm doing it for safety. So you can see them two, the ones that go over the track there. I brake really early just to make sure that I'm braking in a straight line as we go into the corner, because if you brake too late, you find yourself not braking in a straight line and you just lose so much time, and the car just doesn't stop and it just goes straight off into the gravel and your lap's over. I've done that on one of my laps and learned the hard way, let's just say that. So yeah, into the final corner, into that third gear, powering over the line, and a reasonably solid lap. So again, let me know in the comment section if this video has helped you out. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future live streams or videos. I'll see you all soon. Bye everyone.